Hey everyone, welcome back to MB Studio, and today we are here with a brand new video for you guys. We're going to be reviewing the When Calls to the Heart Season 9 premiere titled In Like a Lion, and my mom's here to join me. Thanks for coming on.
Hello.
So, yeah, we have a new season. It's been a while, a few weeks later. It typically comes out in February. But yeah, overall, what do you think about the show being back?
I'm excited. I'm anxious to see where all of the new storylines are gonna go. So yeah, I'm excited.
Well, I feel like season 8 was very much a letdown in a lot of regards. A lot of the storylines were not the best for sure. The love triangle was very exhausting, as well as pretty much all the storylines. The only two I actually liked were Florence and Ned, and Gowan and his son. Those are the only two that I actually thought were somewhat interesting and paced out good. Everything else I thought was either dragged out or rushed. But it seems like this season they're trying to fix that, which is good. So, here's the synopsis for the first episode. Changes in the air for Hope Valley with the foundry that's to be built in the upcoming mayoral election. Elizabeth arrives home from a trip to Hamilton. A potential investor arrives in town to discuss the oil business with Lucas. So what do you think of the premiere overall?
You know, it was, to me, it almost seemed a little slow moving, but I mean, I know they're trying to set up the new storyline, so I am curious to where some of these storylines are going to go. So that's good.
Well, I kind of went back and forth whether I liked it or not, because at times it definitely felt a lot like season 8 with those like quick clips of like weird humor, and like not much depth to the scenes, which is what I personally like. In this season, or this episode, there was still some of that going on.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a bit, but I think it was good overall. I think I'm more interested in the storylines this season than last season, mainly because the love triangle's over, but we'll talk about all of them when we get into them.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's start with Elizabeth and Lucas. So, Elizabeth is coming home from Hamilton. Her and little Jack were there, and we have a new little Jack. What do you think?
Oh, he was adorable. So I think they've cast him very well.
Yeah, and it's not twins playing him anymore. It's just one actor, which is good for sure. Okay, so we kind of get caught up with what's going on at Hope Valley. Carson is gone officially, so Faith's running the infirmary by herself. Joseph is renovating Dottie's dress shop into something new. And Rosemary is still hard at work on the Valley Voice, and we have the mayoral election between Bill, Lee, and Hickam going on. But so Elizabeth comes back into town. Her and Lucas share a kiss, and they're pretty solid. So and then at the end we see that they go on a balloon ride. The balloon actually had a big theme this episode, which was surprising. The hot air balloon. So they go on a ride, and he says. He's dropping out as an investor in the oil business, so because he really wants to dedicate his time for Elizabeth, and he says he really is just starting to see what matters, and he says you matter. So overall, I know we kind of talked about this a lot beforehand, but what are you thinking of these two so far?
Well, I think him making her and Jack a priority is a good thing and encouraging, and maybe seeing a little bit of growth in him, because I don't think last season we would have seen that from him. So that was encouraging.
Do you think their relationship is? Do you like it, or are you still kind of about it?
You know, it's still kind of up in the air. I mean, there was just a few scenes where I'm like, he's not including her, but then he kind of comes back around and says, okay, I'm not going to do this because I want you to be a priority. So, yeah, we'll see.
Well, we're also still Team Nathan fans, so it's still kind of hard to see the whole thing. However, we actually do get some Elizabeth and Nathan interactions, which I was actually surprised that we got two. The first one's kind of awkward, but he wants to know if Lucas can teach him how to drive. But Elizabeth says, well, how about I teach you? What do you think of that?
Seems awkward, I guess. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, I think they want, the writers probably want us to see some kind of awkwardness, and hopefully it will transition into a good, solid friendship. So.
Well, at least we're getting that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm still upset, obviously, but at least we're still getting scenes between them. I didn't expect we would get two scenes with them in the first episode. And I'm hoping we'll still get scenes with them. I mean, the promo looks like their friendship will be a big thing too. We'll talk about that later. And then the second scene is pretty much what did they even talk about in the saloon? I'm trying to think. I think it was just kind of a awkward thing until Lucas came over and interrupted them.
Yeah. Were they talking about Allie and how she was
Yeah,
gone?
I think so. I don't remember what they were talking about in that second scene. I did like in the saloon how everyone was kind of in their own separate quarters. I like that location. I think it's cool. I still what I didn't like is that I feel like everyone's storylines still feel so separate. I want to see the whole town coming together, but I'm sure we'll get that at some point.
Yeah.
Well, we did at times. It just
Yeah.
Everything still kind of feels a little bit separate. Because we're obviously still establishing the storyline. So, okay, so then we meet Mei Sue, who comes into town dressed in all black, and then she, she uncovers behind like the row houses.
Yeah, to the dress.
And then she comes in, and old Nathan's like immediately like shocked at taken away by her. So later on in the saloon, he introduces himself to her, and they're setting that up to be a relationship at some point.
Seems like it, for sure.
Okay, so before we kind of get to May, like, Sue, and, like, what she's doing in town, what do you think of her entrance and Nathan?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was eye-grabbing. Got his attention really quick, so... at first I thought maybe she was running from someone or, in trouble. And of course that still could be, but yeah, I don't think that was the case. She was just getting his attention for sure, whether she meant to or not.
Yeah. Okay, so then we get a better idea as to why Mei Sue is here. So first of all, we find out that Ned and Florence are what Joseph has been renovating is a soda ice cream pharmacy shop, pretty much. I don't know the exact name for it, but Ned and Florence are running it, and they needed a pharmacist, and they were in contact with someone named Jeffrey Lewis. But Mei Sue is Jeffrey's wife, sounds like, and she's coming in to fill in for him. So it sounds like she was in like an abusive relationship of some sort, and she was just running away, and now she says, I can do this job better than him. What do you think of this?
It's possible that that's what's going on. It sounds like it. Lots up in the air there. But there's definitely some secrets there that will, I'm sure, be revealed soon of her past.
Apparently, this Jeffrey dude will be in it at some point. That's been confirmed, so we'll see what happens there. And then we kind of see Mei Sue and Faith interacting a little bit, and she wants help from Faith. But Faith doesn't really even know her, so that'll be interesting too. Just very mysterious, but she actually seems like an interesting character and not one that like just had one scene this episode, and we'll see. It actually seems like she has layers to her, and I like characters who have that. Okay, so then we kind of cut to the can fields, and Joseph's the new pastor, which is exciting. I hope we see him preach at some point. No problem. I mean, I don't have my hopes high for that, but I'm hoping there's something with that. Manny is talking about wanting to buy the cafe from Bill. And the only thing I have with that is that then I guess it wouldn't be Abigail's Cafe anymore unless they wanted to keep that name. And I mean, I still really want Abigail's Cafe. It just it feels like a staple in the show.
Yeah, but time to move on as well. So
yeah, I do think so. We'll talk about Abigail in a bit. But we also find out Jesse and Clara have left, which is sad. But I don't miss them necessarily. I think the show will be fine without them, especially because their storylines was one of those that I didn't last season that just kind of dragged on. Okay. So, and then we find out that the youngest son, Cooper, has been, like, misbehaving, not doing his chores, and probably those not wanted signs, I'm sure him and his friends are behind those. So
probably.
What do you think of him misbehaving? And
yeah, he's up to some pranks and is going to get himself in trouble, it looks like, and maybe it's the boys he's hanging around with or what, but we will see. So, yeah, from the beginning, he was definitely into some mischief.
So then we have Rosemary and Lee, and Rosemary's running the Valley Voice. I didn't note that now she actually has a reason to, like, get into the gossip. Like where the
Yeah.
first like 8 seasons, it was like, why is she? So now she actually has like a reason to, and it's obviously something she enjoys. So
Yeah, it's well suited for her.
and we also actually get something where Lee says, "Sorry, I forgot to build that theater for you. I forgot that he promised her that. I guess that was their way of addressing it." And she says, "Well, if you did, then I wouldn't be here doing what I actually enjoy." That was good too. So yeah, Lee is running for mayor, and he's kind of upset that Rosemary won't fully support him, but she says, "I have to remain impartial because she's reporting on the."
Yeah, although she said
race.
she does support him as a spouse. She will vote for him, but yeah, she has to be impartial as she reports the news.
Yeah, which makes sense. So yeah, we find out Fiona dropped out. So I guess they won because Abigail was the female mayor. I guess they want a male mayor this time, which I don't really care about what they do. So yeah, we have Bill, Lee, and Hickam who are all running now. Who do you want to win out of these three?
I think I'd like to see Lee do that. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Because last season we spent a whole season with him trying to find his purpose.
Yeah.
So it would feel kind of weird if that didn't amount to anything.
Right.
And we also so let's cut over to Gowan and his story. Okay, so he's back in town. He's in a really grumpy mood. In one scene, he randomly grabs a hammer from the woman and knocks open a door. Which that's the type of weird quick scenes that I didn't like from last season that they were still doing. I don't know why. That they don't really amount to anything. But
yeah, just showed his emotional state. He's still very angry and upset. You can tell.
And I'm wondering, is he did he track Abigail down? If he did, it obviously didn't go well. So, but yeah, we didn't really. I'm sure that'll come out at some point. What happened there? Okay, so then we see that this guy named Jerome is in town, and he wants to invest with Lucas. So Henry shows up, and it's Hickam, Fiona, and Lucas are all meeting, and I guess they're the current investors or who are running the oil pipeline. And it turns out that Henry and this Jerome guy have some bad history. What it looks like is something with the mines. Like he was an investor, or he put Henry in charge of something with the mines, and then so there's a connection that goes all the way back, and they just kind of didn't part on good terms. So now that's back, and then they literally get into a fist fight at the saloon that probably Henry interrogated or Henry instigated, I assume. Which throws him in jail. I mean, again. But I actually like this scene where Minnie sat down with him, and Henry actually seemed to listen to what she was saying. I like that. I feel like I know you said this last night, but I do feel like the Canfields might be the way to get Gowan out of this funk and maybe get him back on track.
Did you feel like Minnie coming in, bringing his food, and sitting and talking to him was a flashback to when Abigail did the same thing?
A little bit, yeah. I definitely
bit.
saw that, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think the Canfields will help him?
I think so. Yeah, I think they've got a real heart for people, and as the pastor of the town, that's going to be their role to help people see their value and their worth.
For sure. So like I said earlier, Ned and Florence opened up a shop, so that's pretty exciting. A new store that Joseph was renovating, and it was free ice cream, and it was nice to see everyone just be happy. For once. Last season, I really feel like the only time everyone was happy last season was when Ned and Florence's wedding, where the whole town was all happy together. And in this episode, there were several instances where I saw everyone happy. The balloon ride, and then the shop opening. So that was definitely good. And then we see that Faith is running the infirmary by herself. She said Carson and I were not meant to be. So I guess this is her way of moving on from that relationship. So what do you think of Faith so far?
I think she's going to do a great job. I think they've got her set up to be a good, solid part of the community. So.
Well, I did notice that she's now in the theme song, just her though. So I guess she'll be a more central character. Because I think the people in the theme song were Elizabeth, Rosemary, Lee, her, Joseph, Lucas, and Nathan, and I think Bill too was in there.
Yes, he was.
I don't think Gowan was.
think.
I don't. Then again, I don't think Gowan's.
Bill was, yeah.
Yeah, Bill was. So and then we see this final scene where Nathan looks like he gets in an accident. To him and someone else coming up on the curve. And yeah, the shock, and that was pretty shocking. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that's not sure what's going to happen, but yeah, we'll see next episode.
Well, I was super surprised because I just assumed it would end with Elizabeth and Lucas on the balloon ride, and we would like see it go off.
Right.
Which, if that happened, I would have been still a little bit disappointed. If that was like a weird way to end it, and then we got this like a super like 10-second like clip of that happening.
Yeah.
It was a good cliffhanger, though. I mean, definitely not for a premiere I was expecting, but it looks like he'll be experiencing some memory loss next week, which will be sad for sure. And then next week, it also looks like we'll get the results of who's mayor.
Yeah.
So, looks good.
One more thing we have to discuss.
Okay, and it is about Nathan for sure. Okay, so Nathan has a mustache.
Facial hair.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, before we get to Nathan, I thought Ned's facial hair was pretty cool. I thought it suited him really well.
Yeah, good for him.
But Nathan's, I'm not so sure.
It's like the heartbreak mustache.
It almost, the heartbreak mustache. That's good. It almost seemed like it was the joke of the episode.
Well, it was funny that everyone was like roasting his mustache. That was funny. Yeah. I like when they poke fun at each other.
Yeah.
I thought that was good. And it wasn't like too Nathan. No, Bill did say, would you consider getting rid of that mustache of yours? That was funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah. One thing about Bill is that I'm wondering what they're gonna. If he doesn't win, I wonder what they'll do with his character. Not like he has much. If he sells the cafe, what is he gonna do? Because if Hickam loses, it looks like he'll take charge of the oil pipeline. If Lucas and everyone's gonna drop out. So I don't know if what Bill will do.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
I think he's the judge at this point, though. Still,
he is.
So yeah, great first episode. I gotta say. I mean, at times, again, I don't like the clips that are just randomly put together and they're like so weird. But I thought it was definitely. I'm more interested in the storylines this season than in season 8 for sure. So anything else you want to say?
I think I'm good.
Okay, so we'll be back next week to talk about episode 2. I'm excited. So thanks for watching and bye.